We're on the RCMP website, which databases missing people in Canada. This is Andrew George Nicoll, case reference 201-400-6708. On April 22nd, 2014, Andrew George Nicoll was reported missing from his home near Breton, Alberta. He was last seen on April 20th, 2014. Extensive searches of his property and surrounding county were conducted by ground and air. Mr. Nicoll has not been located. So this man is from Breton, Alberta, and he went missing from near his home, I would say. Let's take a look at his personal details tab. Missing since April 20th, 2014. Born in 1958. He was 55. A Caucasian male. He had blue eyes, brown hair cut into a brush cut. He had good teeth. He was 5'11", 174 pounds, had a medium build, and light and fair complexion. It gives some contact information in case you know anything about Andrew Nicoll. Contact Breton RCMP at 780-696-3502 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS or 1-800-222-8477. It also gives an email. I'll put all this information in the description box below the video. But right now, I think we'll head over to Google and check out some of the articles that have been released on Mr. Nicoll. I've dug up this article on CBC while searching Google. It says search continues for missing Breton, Alberta man. Friends and family of Andrew Nicoll, who has been missing for nearly 2 weeks, refused to give up. On Saturday, the friends and family of Breton, Alberta man, missing for nearly 2 weeks, expanded their search, erecting a radio tower to improve communications and getting permission to go on nearby private properties. The search for Andrew Nicoll, 55, continues despite the fact RCMP have long given up on finding the missing man. So if we scroll down, we see a large image of Andrew Nicoll, and it's the same image that was posted on the RCMP website. So at the bottom of this image, we get a little bit more information. Nicoll was last seen at his home around 4 p.m. on April 21st. He disappeared without his wallet, phone, keys, or vehicle. Concerns were raised when his daughter, Taylor, heard he didn't show up for work on April 22nd. The RCMP conducted a large-scale air and ground search the week Nicoll went missing, but called it off after lack of clues. But that hasn't stopped Taylor from continuing her own effort. Until now, the search was difficult, thanks to limited cell and radio services. But the community has rallied to make sure the effort continues. For me, it's not knowing where my dad is. Not knowing if he's okay. I'm hoping he's okay, says Taylor, daughter of missing man. A communications company donated a cell phone tower so volunteers could still communicate with each other while out in the woods surrounding Nicoll's property. It's huge because we are kind of in an area where there's a lot of typography issues, says Taylor. Radios weren't working well out here, and cell phones were almost useless when we were trying to communicate with our teams. It's one last thing we have to worry about, and it keeps our search members a lot safer, she said. The search was previously limited because volunteers could not go on private property, but they were able to finally expand to areas and comb through this weekend. Taylor has been in contact with RCMP, but she says they have not found any leads as to Nicoll's whereabouts. The most difficult part of the ongoing search for Taylor has been lack of answers. For me, it's not knowing where my dad is, not knowing if he's okay, she said. I'm hoping he's okay. Just a complete desperation of trying to figure out where he might be and bring him home. It says here, volunteers have been combing areas as far south as Red Deer and north to Edmonton. Breton is located approximately 100 kilometers southwest of Edmonton. So there's a couple of more articles. Let's see if we can find anything else. Right now we're on Drayton Valley Western Review. It says search continues for missing Breton area man. If we scroll down, we see an image. It says, Bronwyn Taylor left, works with volunteers to plan more searches for a missing father, Andrew Nicoll. So this blonde woman here is Andrew's daughter, and the rest are a part of the search effort. And it looks like this might be the property that he lived on, but I'm not sure, because it says in the article that they had horses and that the horse gate was closed. Described as a quiet, well-liked man and caring father, the last time anyone heard from 55-year-old Andrew Nicoll was approximately 3:45 p.m. on April 21st. This is completely out of character, Taylor, Nicoll's daughter, says. A couple of years ago, my mom passed away, and he and I are very close. We stay in contact pretty much on a daily basis, or at least every second day. It says, on Tuesday I was at work and got a call from his employer that actually came to check on him because he hadn't shown up for work. But when they had gotten here, all his things were here. His wallet, his keys, his phone, she explained. On his phone, it says, for emergencies, call daughter. So he called me and asked me if I knew where my dad was, and that he was quite concerned. Right then, I called RCMP because it was not like him and headed out here. It also says, it's been a long week, she said last week while planning more searches for the weekend. We began on Tuesday when I found out my dad was missing. Began a full-scale search with the RCMP, their tracking dogs, and air services. We had boats here from Dayton Valley, and Breton Fire Services have all been great help. We had the full search and rescue team out here doing grid searches, starting at the property and moving our way out. So it says after 2 days of not finding any information, the RCMP called off their end of the search. But his daughter continued on in her efforts. It says the RCMP continued their investigation, but the search itself was called off. So Mr. Nicoll's daughter states that it's most alarming because everything at the house was exactly as it should be. The horse gate was closed because they have horses, and the dogs were put inside. She goes on to say that the dogs are only put inside, or most often put inside, when two things are going on. Either he's working outside with chainsaws, or he's leaving the property. So, I mean, that's kind of strange. It presents the possibility that he may not have been abducted because, you know, everything was set up for the perfect exit. Because, like, if everything is set up the way it would be if he was going to leave, then that might be what he did, but there's no proof of it. I mean, he could have entered into the woods for a walk and got lost. Or, you know, he could have just decided to leave everything behind. And it happens, even when you least expect it. But that might not be the case. So anyway, his daughter's not sure what to think, and thinks that maybe something sinister happened. According to Taylor, the fact that all her father's belongings are present leaves her to believe something much more sinister is going on, and could involve unknown parties taking her father. There's not evidence of any foul play, but the fact that he's not here, to me, is very suspicious, and that something else is going on. But of course we can't prove it, and we can't find any evidence, she shared. Our CMP officers are looking into a couple of things that might help us a little bit, but for now, that's all we have. I mean, it basically just goes on to say that their search efforts continued, that hundreds have helped them, that even people overseas have contacted her and asked how to help. So, I mean, this is quite an article, and I'll leave it in the description box so you could check out all the information for yourself. Now, this is actually a relatively small place. I wouldn't suspect this to have a population any greater than a few thousand. So, we see that there's some surrounding woods and some waterways. You know, we see some woods here and some water here. And bits of water around. So, I mean, there is a possibility that a search effort could be fouled by water. I mean, I wish there was more. We can't get a street look. We didn't get a house reference. Or if he even lived right in the town and not in some surrounding area. So, if we zoom out a little bit more, we can see Dayton Valley, that was mentioned in the article. People had come down from there. Yeah, so there is waterways, there is little bits of woods and stuff, and there's a lot of woods here. I mean, there's speckled woods all over the place. So, I mean, there's a lot of places that a body could be that people haven't searched. And I did forget that in one article that it stated that a body scent had been found by the dogs. The scent of a dead body. But no body was found, and I think the scent later dropped. So, no one's aware if this is a false positive or an actual positive on a body. If it was the body of Andrew, someone else, or anything. It's just obscure. So, I mean, really, that's all I can show you in Google Earth. There's literally nothing to go on. Theory time. That's all we can really do. From the articles, we deduct that everything was as it should be. Andrew's home was in good order. His car was there. His wallet was there. His ID was there. I think an article said his keys were there. His chainsaw was set up as if ready to be refueled. And he was currently working on his deck. And he vanishes. He completely vanishes from his property. What could have happened? Either he left of his own accord. I mean, his wife had died. So, maybe he was ready to just leave everything. But where would he go? A nearby city? A distant city? A distant place? A friend that no one knew about? It's hard to say. It was suggested by some that maybe he was suicidal. You know, depressed about his life or his wife. But his daughter dismisses all of these theories. And she herself sticks to the third. That something sinister had possibly happened. Did someone come in Andrew's yard and take him? Was he snatched from his own property? Nobody knows. All we can do is keep looking for clues. So please keep looking for clues. And if you know anything about Andrew Nicoll, contact the police. Anything at all that might help his family, his daughter, find him. Contact the police. If you've seen him, if you've heard from him, if you've got some kind of a phone call, contact the police. I will leave all the information that you need to get the evidence and information to the appropriate sources in the description box below.